Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bold Metal Nerd coming at you. And this, of course, is going to be the companion video to my last video. In my last video, I did overrated metal bands. In this video, I'm going to do underrated metal bands. Bands that I feel should have gotten a lot more attention than they have, because their talent is much, much larger than really their overall place in metal. Now, that's not to say these bands have zero success. A lot of these bands do have some success. I just feel that they deserve a little bit more. Now, if I list bands nobody's ever heard of, it's so I kind of got to name some bands that you may have heard of and have some success, but you get the idea. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. The first, I'm gonna actually list two bands at once because they kind of had, they were part of underground metal here in the States back in the 90s and early 2000s. They had some measure of success. And they had pretty broad success, I think, in Europe and internationally. But here they were barely, they were big in the underground, but other than that, barely a blip on the radar. And I feel these guys, both of these bands, deserved a huge amount of success. I'm talking about Nevermore and Iced Earth. Now, Iced Earth really hit their stride when Matt Barlow joined the band. And from the time of period of about, right around 10 years, something like that. They were putting out some really great stuff. If you haven't checked it out and you just love traditional great metal, I would recommend checking out their catalog, starting off with Burn Offerings, and then kind of the last album they did together was a Horror Show. And all those albums from that, basically using those as the bookends, those are incredibly, all those albums are classic, really awesome albums. I can't recommend them enough. Incredibly great albums. Now, what they did before Barlow joined the band, it was still good, but that was really, in my opinion, the golden age of the band. And some of the stuff they did afterwards was all right too. They had Tim Ripper Owens in the band for a couple albums. The second album he did with them was actually really quite good. It was Framing Armageddon Part 1. I really enjoyed that. Now, Matt Barlow did come back for one album, Framing Armageddon Part 2, but I don't think it really lived up to his other, the other albums he was on. I feel that was the weakest album that Matt Barlow was on. And then after he left again, they brought in Stu Block, and Stu's pretty good vocalist, but again, their best era was that first Matt Barlow era. Definitely check it out if you're curious. Nevermore, they just got better and better with each album they put out. Their debut isn't really what I would call a stone cold classic, but it's still, fairly solid. And then after that, just what they put out after their debut was just incredibly great. Every single one of those albums, just masterpiece. Politics of Ecstasy, Dreaming Neon Black, Dead Heart in a Dead World, Enemies of Reality, Godless Endeavor, and The Obsidian Conspiracy. That's 6 albums that are just out of this world great. Incredible group. Their music is incredibly, incredibly heavy. The vocals are absolutely soaring and awesome, very melodic. Absolutely love that band. If you're into this stuff, I highly recommend checking them out. Another band that has, again, some success internationally, Canadian band Annihilator. They've put out some pretty landmark thrash albums. They haven't, now of course they don't have nearly the influence that a lot of the other bands do, but they've put out some really incredible stuff like Never Land, I'm sorry, not Alice in Hell. Just some of their earlier work is just incredible. I would really recommend checking out Annihilator. Another band is Savatage. Really, what they are is kind of like a progressive symphonic band. Now, they didn't start off that way. They kind of evolved into that, but they really put out a lot of just incredibly great symphonic, progressive, soaring metal, and I don't think they get near the recognition that they deserve. Uh, Moving on from that is Metal Church. Uh, Again, they've put out a ton of great metal albums. I mean, an incredible band. I think they're almost criminally underrated. And then another band after that, Creator, a landmark German thrash outfit. They've put out tons of great stuff. I mean, their '80s material was pretty good, but they really turned the corner. In 1990, they released Coma of Souls, and listening to it, it sounds like it could have came out in 2010. That's how far ahead of the time they were back in 1990. I mean, they are just an incredible thrash band. Real extreme metal, absolutely out of this world. And I think honestly they're criminally underrated. Now, I'm gonna kind of finish this off with two bands that used to get no love, really, or at least they got some love, but not nearly as much as they should. They are starting finally to get their due in the metal world. This isn't really the case anymore. I don't think they're as underrated as they were. It's improving, but they were underrated for a long time. And I am talking about, well, I guess I can talk about three bands: Overkill, Testament, and Exodus. Those three bands were kind of always thought of for a long time as also rans in the American thrash hierarchy of bands, but they're finally starting to get some love. All three of those bands are absolutely great and definitely worth checking out. Another band that's kind of, they're starting to get more attention now too, thankfully, is Death Angel. Again, check them out if you're a thrash fan. So, that pretty much is going to cover at least my personal list of bands that I think deserve more attention than maybe they've gotten. So I'm obviously not going to name every single band that there is that I feel is underrated because, well, this would be a multiple hour long video, and I don't think anybody wants to watch me talk for that long. So anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap this up. Let me know in the comments below who you think I missed or whatever. If you disagreed with any of my choices, any of that kind of stuff. Anyway, if you did like this, as always, please thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.